just a burn. Don't give up, just deny. We try our best, and we're successful. Don't want us to. Big River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Well, welcome aboard, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. You're with Steve Wyss and Jack Wright, and it is Tuesday, the 17th of June. More action today from the Club World Cup. We've got under 21 Euro Championships to discuss as well, and a bit of Gold Cup action later on. Welcoming everyone. Hope you're doing excellently well. And Jack Wright, good to see you. How is your June going so far?
It's going really well, mate. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Hello, everyone. It feels like it's been a while. I've forgotten what to do.
It has been a bit of time. I think the last time I saw you was actually in person. I can't remember the last time you did a show together on here. But
Champions League final night.
It would have been, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would have been quite some time. It's good to have you anyway, Jack.
That's great to be here, yeah. But June's going well.
June's going well. Not bad. Yeah, not bad at all. But less said about the Gold Cup yesterday. I don't think that was terrible. Byron's on about Jamaica. That was his bet of the month. Guadeloupe badly let me down. They were so bad. I mean, I went under 2.5 goals and I lost within 15 minutes. I tell you what, the first 25 minutes from Guadeloupe made Auckland City look competitive. Genuinely, that's how bad Guadeloupe were in the first 25 minutes last night. Absolute disgrace. But ZT, good to see you as well. Villafan is loving the intro today. That is the heavy metal intro where Daniel Lacani, ZT is going to Garassi anytime scorer. And Foxy, good to see you as well. And he says hello to you, Jack. Real Brandon King from Toronto. The GOAT returns. And Steve McLaren. That's why I just wouldn't trust Steve McLaren. But I do admit that did look a good bet, Jamaica. Sean Calvert is on fire right now. He had those winners at the weekend. 20 to 1 outright and 40 to 1. He got the finalists. And now he's had a clean sweep today on Game Bet Match. The latest show is now live. There's the link. Go and watch it. I mean, Sean, when he's hot, he's absolutely red hot. Beyond belief hot.
Yeah, I think it's one of those sports, isn't it? Like tennis, he goes through those sequences, like he said on, I think, the show, just the most recent one, that you can go, especially when you're betting futures, you can go quite a while without getting anything, and you can kind of get a little bit of a funk. But then you hit one, like, for him to be in that position where you've got a 40 to 1 and a 20 to 1, feet up, a little glass of red wine on the go, who wins doesn't really matter, does it? But it's you're right. When he's on a heater, he's absolutely red hot. White hot.
Yeah, incredible. Notable winners and losers from yesterday. $80,000 on the Thunder, minus 9.5 against the Pacers, minus 111. That was a winner. And a big bet, $23,000 on the Thunder money line against the Pacers. That was also a winner. Biggest soccer winner or loser yesterday. Sadly, it was a loser. $10,000 on Flamengo Esperance de Tunis, over 2.5 goals at plus 110. I was actually on the under there myself. I didn't watch the game. I really struggled pre-game picks with me on the Boca game. But I couldn't stay up for the Flamengo match last night. A 2-0 win for them. And a winner in the Jamaican match, $8,000. Jamaica-Guatemala live. Both teams to score now at minus 141. So someone was winning on that match, thankfully. How's the Club World Cup been treating you so far, Jack? Have you been keeping your palate dry, or have you been getting stuck in straight away?
Yeah, I've had a little dabble. I must admit, I probably couldn't be less interested in the Club World Cup until about a week before it, a few days before it. And I started doing a little bit of research, thinking, obviously, I'm going to get involved. Obviously, there's a bit of work to do for it as well. And once I started digging into it, my juices started flowing a little bit. And I tell you what really pushed me over the edge yesterday, just the atmosphere for that Boca game. It was sensational, wasn't it? Like that was and I was thinking, oh, do we need this Club World Cup? Blah, 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 blah. That was kind of my thoughts before we got into the tournament. And then, look, taking the fatigue of the players aside, and we might have to deal with that as we go into the new seasons, obviously in a few weeks' time. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But it's a brilliant idea, isn't it? Because we won't get to see like the Boca kind of massive getting involved against top European sides, and these kind of, all right, look, once in a lifetime experience for those players at Auckland City and stuff like that, non-competitive, non-event really, as far as that match is concerned. But some of these clashes that are coming up are really like quite mouth-watering, aren't they? When yet like a proper atmosphere that Miami was rocking more than it is normally yesterday, wasn't it? Well, those fans are crazy, and it's brilliant to see. And you think, well, that was proper World Cup vibes, wasn't it? Like an Argentina.
The first time, wasn't it, in the tournament? I mean, I must be honest, that game, Boca made that match a war, basically, the way they went about it. And I don't think Benfica weren't up for the fight for about an hour in the game, as in genuine fight. It seemed to mean an awful lot more to Boca than it did. It was the first real time I thought a team got proper stuck in, had a go. The referee, I don't know how the first half didn't have a card on the field in the first half. He did well to keep it to 6 cards in the second half. It was an incredible match, which, I mean, I like the unders there, but it was just so crazy that, I mean, these South American teams might bring that to this competition, the fans especially.
Absolutely. Yeah, the fans were like absolutely like loving it, weren't they? And that's what made it. And it made it, we saw it in the Chelsea game. There was a lot of empty seats for that one, and probably understandable reasons for that. But it was like chalk and cheese like that. But that game was okay, but it didn't have the fire and brimstone that we got in the Boca game. It was brilliant. And I say the ref made it because he kind of went, well, you lads just crack on, because like I ain't seen nothing yet. There was like stuff where refs we have seen would have lost the plot early there, and it might have either completely dampened it down, or you'd have had a couple of players sent off early and it kind of would have ruined the game. But he let it go, didn't he? He did let it go. There was pushes in chest that he would just went, oh, get on with it. Stop being Do
you know what? There was one of the commentators over here made a very good point that the European soccer's kind of lost touch with the game that way. We don't let a lot of that stuff go now. No. It was like a throwback, wasn't it, to maybe say 20 years ago, in the 90s sort of soccer. And I do, there's fouls going in, and there was a couple of times I'm thinking Stonewall penalty there, or he's going to get a clear booking here, and there.
Yeah.
Just let it go, and it was a different style of refereeing. Really, really important to check the referees for these games, as I'll mention today. Anyway, we need to crack on to some. There's a match that gets underway in 50 minutes' time. Fluminense against Borussia Dortmund. The lineups are out in this game. This is from MetLife Stadium in New York City. An exciting-looking clash, it must be said. The two top teams in the group, according to the books. And, I've got a ticket on Dortmund outright, 25-1. I think they've got a fairly straightforward route to the quarterfinals. This is the toughest group game they've got. Really like how they finished the season. It looks like they're going to line up in a 3-4-3 today, according to several sources, Jack. I think we're in for quite a good game myself. Fluminense, from what I've heard about them, they are, they're quite a technical side, and they're here to play soccer and give it to Dortmund. How do you see this one going?
Mate, you and me both on Dortmund. They did stand out to me as a bit of a price, and I think it was a little bit of a reaction to the fact that it was spread across the season rather than what they've been doing recently. And I saw a couple of people were quite keen on them, and obviously we did on the Insider. That if people aren't subscribing to already, make sure you do, because that's going to be all over the Club World Cup and much more over the course of the summer. But my best bet was for Dortmund to get to the quarterfinals in that, and that was just a shade of plus money. And as you said, I think they've got a fairly straightforward route through. This is the one I'm looking forward to this game in 50 minutes time, because this is going to give me a sense check whether I'm on the right path or barking up the wrong tree. So I think they will do it. I think like the turnaround they've had since the new manager come in has been sensational. I think they've shown themselves to be a side that suit kind of play in tournament football. They've been good in Champions League. They've got a good recent record in Champions League, even when they haven't been great in Bundesliga. And I said the turnaround since they brought the new manager in has been exceptional. The point of him coming in, it looked like they probably weren't going to qualify for the knockout stages of the Champions League. They were certainly going to be unlikely to reach the top 4 in Bundesliga and get qualification for next season's Champions League. They were in the bottom half when he got into the technical area, wasn't he? And turned it round, and it's a stunning run once he got his feet under the table, and they ended it like a steam train. And if they can carry that on into this tournament now, which we'll see if they can do that tonight, that's the first glimpse of it, then I think they're a great play. So I like them tonight. I like goals in this game. I think the firepower, it seems to me, Dortmund is, well, we're just going to score more goals than you. They've got the players to do it. They've got the striker to do it. Nathan Joyce, who's a great signing for because we win, of course. So he's put up Jurassi as far as the top scorer in the tournament's concerned. I'm already on that as well. So I've gone very pro Dortmund in my futures. So on that basis, of course, I want and expect them to put in a good show tonight. And as you rightly say, in their toughest test of the group.
Yeah, I mean, the bet I like here is over 2.5 goals at minus 121 now. It was actually even just an hour and a half ago. So there's been money for the goals here. This is the sort of match, I'm tempted to bring this Steve Wish ladder out on the goals here, but I'm not going to because it's the first group game. So I will just stick at 2.5. This wouldn't surprise me if it went a bit mental because I know how Dortmund play. And it's they're not playing for 1-0. Let's just say that. I'd like just to see a little bit of how Fluminense adapt to this tournament as well. I mean, there's a couple. I mean, Byron said the South American sides feel underappreciated by the rest of the world and want to show it. So they're going to be up for it. I mean, Effie Brilovsky, to be fair. I mean, I thought you were unlucky yesterday, Effie, actually. Boca drawn a bet he put up here in chat, about the only person I saw that gave Boca any chance at all. And that's a bit unlucky not to cash, actually. So we've got to watch out for these South American teams giving it a good go.
Mate, I think they'll go for this tonight. I think this game, you talked about goals. I wouldn't put you off going and popping off to your shed and getting the ladder out. And if you're not using it, I'll use it on another bet in this game. But I think
the best
I've gone with Dortmund and over 2.5 goals. I think that's a night at plus 143. Dortmund to win and over 2.5 goals at plus 143, which I think is a great price. Dortmund are pretty strong favourites going into it. I think they will win. I couldn't quite work out which way I wanted to play it. Obviously, I wouldn't play them just straight on the money line. I don't fancy win to nil. Both seem to score possibly. Asian handicap, I kind of tossed it all round, but I just think that over 2.5 goals and a Dortmund win covers a lot of options as far as score lines are concerned. With Dortmund, tend to concede, tend to score plenty. So, that kind of covers it there. And you can also get that 1-goal win on side and not have to worry about the Asian handicap that way. So I think at plus 143, that gives you a really nice price. And the man I talked about at the top, and a couple of people already mentioned him in chat, Jurassi, for me, over 1.5 shots on target. The money's come for that a bit as well. It's changed a fair bit, but it's minus 132 now for over 1.5 shots on target. And if you're not going to use that ladder, I'll get it out for his shots on target and go over 2.5 at plus 225 and over 3.5 at plus 525. So he's obviously got a great record. He's been scoring goals for fun. I thought the record that he's got since, say, the managerial change has been superb. Since Kovac has come in, 20 games in charge, he scored 16 goals, in that period of time. And that run of 6 straight wins at the back end of the season, Jurassi scored in all of them, and he scored 9 goals across that period of time. Started off against Barcelona in that 3-1 Champions League win. That's when he had 4 shots on target. So if he can do that against Barcelona, albeit at home, he can obviously do it tonight. And then he's had 2 shots on target in his next 4, and then only 1 shot on target in that last game of the season. But I just think that he's a guy that can absolutely fire in this tournament. And I think they'll go for it tonight. They'll look to win. Fluminense, I think Dortmund want a bit of goal difference in this because it can take a little bit of worry out of the sort of they want to rotate a little bit in maybe match day 3. But I think there's goals in it, and Dortmund will get the majority of them, and Jurassi will be very much involved.
Yeah, you can back Seru Girasay at minus 159 to score any time in this game with Bet Rivers. I actually like all of the front 3 here. Julian Brandt is plus 410 to score at any time. Yes. And Karim Adeyemi plus 185. I think Adeyemi is a bit of a flat track bully. I think he absolutely feasts on poor teams. Remember, he absolutely ripped Celtic apart in the Champions League. A few other examples this season. Against poorer opposition or poorer defensive opposition, he can thrive. And so it wouldn't surprise me if all that front 3 go well here. The weakness for me for Dortmund is defensively. Slotterbeck is injured, and he's their best defender, in my opinion. I think he's actually top class, to be honest. He's out of the lineup, so Fluminense will have chances themselves. So that's what makes me think it could be a bit of a shootout. Dortmund should have far too much offensively to score plenty of goals here. But we've got to watch them at the back, because I wouldn't trust that defense against anyone, really.
No.
I was asked a question about the cards yesterday, and it's a good point. I've always said check your terms and conditions. I'm pretty sure if a card is issued to someone on the bench, no matter whether it's played in the game or not, it won't count. It has to be issued on the field. Although there's a weird one. If a player is, say, booked on the bench and then comes on, I think the yellow counts. So...
Yeah, there are lots of different terms and conditions, so do check that out. But yeah, if you're right that way round, if it's the other way around, it doesn't count. Obviously, if they're booked at half time and come back out, then that will count if they're still on. Generally speaking, as I say, it does. There are like some anomalies to it, but and I say obviously after the full time whistle, as we saw in the Merseyside derby this season and other cases as well, I'm sure. But that's the first one that jumped into my head. They don't count. So yeah, do have a scroll through. Those are the cards, and also if you're doing booking points and stuff like that, because some books do make it's a card's a card, be it yellow or red. Others will double it up if it's a red. So have a check through. But yeah, that's important to do. Make sure you know what you're betting on is probably the best advice there is out there, isn't there?
Yeah,
there's another player, mate, that we've talked about a lot actually over the last season. I was then looking; he's not priced up, unfortunately, for shots and stuff, but you can get him if you want to go big on him. Remember Ryerson? We talked about him, the wing back who gets in some proper advanced positions. This looks like a game for him there, where he's going to get forward a lot. Nothing on as far as his shots and assists, his shots are concerned, as far as I can see. But you can get him to score or assist at. I then saw it and I've now lost it again. Oh gosh,
to score or assist for Ryerson.
Plus 340. Yeah, plus 340.
He does get forward well.
Plus 550 just for an assist. I think that might be a better way in.
Okay, just betting splits for the game. 94% of the money and 95% of the tickets are on Borussia Dortmund. No surprise there. And there's money for the overs as well. 88% of the money of the over-under market is on the over. There's been some decent bets placed. Nearly $4,000 on Borussia Dortmund full-time money line, and several four-figure bets on over goals as well. So we're liking those goals. Kick off in 40 minutes. Best of luck, whatever you are taking there. There's another match that you've got a bet on. I'm not following this tournament at all, got to be honest. So it's all in your hands here, Jack. France under 21 against Poland under 21. This is kicking off again in about 45 minutes.
Same time, yeah.
Yeah. So take it away here. France obviously big favourites to win the game. What's the bet?
Yeah, the bets both seems to score in it. I must admit, I have been following it a fair bit actually for my sins. I'd say I did a couple of pieces on it, and kind of a few sides that I was kind of keeping an eye on, and it's proved quite profitable. Actually, Poland were one that I'd earmarked because they score lots and concede lots, and I had both teams to score in both their games so far, and they got whipped 5-0 by Portugal in the last game, and they dominated the actual shot count in that, believe it or not, and should have scored, but unfortunately didn't. But they were against Georgia in the first game, and that ended 2-1, and so that cashed quite cozily. So I'm going with it again. They're out. Both the Poland are out now. They haven't lost both those games. They've got no chance of qualifying. But what I don't mind that so much in an under 21 tournament, because what I do think is what we're going to get here is you've got players that are looking to try and catch the eye still, especially sides like Poland that have got some good players in there, but they're either playing in the likes of the Polish league, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the Polish league, but they'd like to catch the eye of teams that are playing in the major leagues. And obviously you've got a couple of players. There's a couple of players that play for Leipzig that are in their setup that possibly aren't getting the breakthrough there and maybe want to look for a move elsewhere, or at least a loan out. So I think there's still, in the under 21 tournaments, you've still got a lot of players that are looking to try and prove a point. So I don't think there's so much of a dead rubber situation here. France, they need to win to make sure that they qualify for the next stage. So they've had a bit of Interesting time of it, overturned a 2-1 deficit in the 89th minute last time out to win 3-2 against Georgia, and did a similar situation previous as well. But both teams' scores landed in 6 of the last 8, and they've got Matthias Tell, which shows you the standard of this kind of competition. Playing for them, who's just about on the verge of, or has just been confirmed to be moving to Tottenham for about $30 million. He's minus 106 to score. I wouldn't put anyone off that. But both teams to score is the pick for me. 6 of Poland's last 8 matches produced over 3.5 goals, which shows you there's lots of goals in their games. 7 of their last 9, both teams to score. So for me, I think that's a decent price, a decent play. I think the books have basically said, well, Poland won't be interested. We'll write them off, and they won't get a look in against France. But I think they might well do.
Yeah, I've just never really followed these under-21 events. I know a lot of people who do. I know a lot of scouts who have to obviously watch these tournaments who are even out there. And from a betting perspective, I've never been that interested. But I do know, I didn't even mention this on yesterday's live show, but at the weekend there were some fairly hefty bets on this tournament. $20,000 was on France under-21, Georgia under-21 over 2.5 goals. That was a winner at minus 118. There's 15,000 on the England under-21 game as well. Goals live in play. And nearly $15,000 on the Spain under-21 game against Romania. Those were weekend bets. That was an over 2 Asian total live bet at minus 125. And the Spain match also interests you later on. This is 3 p.m. Eastern. Spain under-21 against Italy under-21. The stars of the future against each other here. Spain minus 117. That actually surprises me. I thought they'd be even shorter based on what I know of the younger talents from both nations.
Mate, they've had a funny tournament.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the bet here then, Jack?
I've got over 2.5 goals in this one. I've been a bit unfortunate with this group, actually. I had Romania have missed their 2 games. They've had a penalty missed in both those games, which cost the bet I was on. So I'm owed something, I think, but if it works that way. But Spain have been strange. They did miss against a penalty against Romania, the game you then talked about, and they were 1-0 down for a large part of it and then came back to win 2-1. And in their opening match against Slovakia, they won 3-2, and they needed a 90th minute goal to win that one as well. So there's been plenty of goals and plenty of excitement, especially late on in their games so far. Italy, contrasting, which I think is why we're getting a bit of a decent price on the goals in this one, is they've won both their games 1-0. So they're both qualified. The other 2 teams in the group have both got 0 points. They've both got 6 points at this moment in time. Spain have got the better goal difference. So in essence, a tie is good enough for them, which I think will bring Italy out of their shell to a certain degree. And I just think that this is one of those where it's a free swing. There's absolutely no point in Italy drawing this game. Spain will be Spain. They'll do what they need to do. They've got the players, as you said. They will score goals. They have been conceding goals as well. Italy has certainly got the firepower to go and score and cause problems. So I just think it will be an open one. And obviously, if Italy do take the lead, Spain will be hell-bent, because that will mean that Italy will go above them in the group and take the initial slot. And I think second place in this group plays either Germany or England in the next stage of the competition. So it's important to win this group to get a better route through potentially to the final. So I feel there's a lot of goals in it. Certainly, so the players on board certainly look that way as well. Italy have been in good form. Spain have been kind of getting over the line just about. And you should be interested in this game, Steve, because 2 of your players are in this one. Leeds, it's Matteo Joseph against Willy Gnonto. So Spain versus Italy here, yeah. So Joseph's plus 140 to score or assist. The one I like is Willy Gnonto, plus 215 to score or assist. He's been in good form, both for Leeds and for Italy. But the bet for me on this one, over 2.5 goals at minus 112.
Yeah, that's the bet for that game there. And the both teams to score, yes, France against Poland under 21s kicking off in 35 minutes time. Yeah, Gnonto's by far better than Joseph. In my opinion. But obviously in their respective teams, Joseph's in a better 11 probably. So
he's the one who missed the penalty at the weekend, by the way.
Well, consider me surprised. But anyway, yeah, so we're moving into... Actually, there is some betting splits for those games, by the way. I can tell you now, just 63% of the money is on Spain for the game. So the bettors are giving Italy somewhat of a fighting chance in that game. Let's move on to the second Club World Cup game of the day. River Plate against Urawa Red Diamonds. This match is being played in Seattle. It's a midday local kickoff time. This is on a plastic pitch, of course, isn't it, in Seattle? Lumen Field, I do believe it's called now. River Plate, I'll be honest, this is the sort of match I need a bit of help, Jack, because the one area in my soccer knowledge which is poor is Asian soccer. I never watched the teams, the national teams, the domestic teams, apart from perhaps some of the Saudi outfits. The rest of the world, I'm not too bad. And we're all Auckland City experts now, aren't we? But Urawa Red Diamonds here, everything I've read about them suggests they're going to be cannon fodder in this group. Therefore, River Plate minus 210, that might look a massive price come the end of things. But I really don't know enough about these Red Diamonds, Jack. So can you perhaps give us some enlightenment or not?
Well, obviously, as a J-League expert, renowned for my knowledge, in-depth knowledge of all that is J-League. That is why I'm here today. But let's focus on River Plate. Mate, no, I ain't gonna lie. Let's not bluff anyone here. We don't know everything about every single league, but what we can do is piece stuff together. Obviously, do the research on it and come up with something that looks good. And my bet of the day actually is River Plate on a -1 Asian handicap at -127. So simple as that. I looked for ways around it. I was tempted with a win to nil, but River Plate do tend to concede, or have done recently, a lot of goals. And so then my knowledge on Urawa Red Diamonds isn't big enough for me to go, oh yeah, but they've got the firepower to go and get a goal. I'm not sure they have. So I was looking at initially going the other way around. River to win over 2.5 goals -106, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'd be shocked and stunned if River Plate don't win this, given what I've looked into and given what they're like. And I said, obviously, if they win by a single goal, you're getting your full refund on your stake. So a -1 Asian handicap is a little bit of a safe bet at a better price for me, -127. They're good in tournaments, haven't they? 10 successive years now, making the last 16 of the Libertadores. So I think that's speaks volumes for how consistent they've been over the last decade of doing that. They've only lost once across their last 24 games. At, I would suggest to say, a better standard than what they're going to be facing tonight, generally speaking, across all those competitions they've played as well. As I said, the only thing that was a little bit of a surprise, I suppose, to me was the fact that both teams to scores landed in their last 7 games. So can that run continue? As I said, if I'm pushed on it, I think they'll keep a clean sheet. I think they'll win to 0. And possibly I've got 2-0 in my head. And don't really ask me why. So that put me off the over 2.5, obviously. But so that both teams to score element drags you and attracts you to that, because thinking, well, obviously if they're going to win and both teams score, then it's going to be over 2.5 goals. But yeah, I said kept it simple. -1 Asian handicap, -127. They've got a bit of a star boy, haven't they, as far as in their side? 7 goal contributions last 9 games. Franco, I'll call him, because his surname's a lot more difficult to pronounce for me. -115 for a goal or assist. He is the favourite in the market, so I wouldn't put anyone off that as well.
Effie Brulovsky saying River Plate moneyline and over 1.5 goals. That's one of his go-to bets at -130. I mean, that does look good. I mean, there is certainly a chance. I'm not saying this will happen, but if the Urawa Red Diamonds were genuinely awful, would we be shocked? We probably wouldn't be. It could happen. I've seen it before. It's just teams from that region are generally not that good. It's just the way it is. I don't know enough about them. See how they adapt on the world stage. Ian Messina saying River moneyline at under 4.5 goals. If we're thinking win to 0, that looks pretty safe. Ken Peacock, who made an interesting point actually about the Stanley Cup MVP there, +410. Brad Marchand, he seems pretty confident about that. But he also makes a very good point about the South American teams might have a sneaking advantage in the humidity of this tournament. Perhaps that was a factor at the Hard Rock Stadium yesterday. With
30 degrees last night, wasn't it, in Miami?
Yeah. And maybe they're more used to it. I'll tell you what, based on last night, a bet that did interest me for this game, I'm looking at the referee angle. And one of our old favourites is in the middle here, Jack. Felix Zvaya is in charge. Now, based on last night, if River operate as Boca did, and it's a different type of game entirely because they're the big favourite. But over 2.5 river cards at plus 114, I think, is the price. Plus 118 for over 2.5 river cards. That would interest me because there's no way Felix Villa will put up with the antics of these South Americans like the referee did last night. So Villa averaged, I'll tell you what he averaged, over 5 cards per game, nearly 6 cards per game in the Champions League this season.
Yeah.
And in the Bundesliga, he averaged nearly 4 cards per game, which is high for Germany. So this is a referee that has continually in the past dished out cards. You know, he's not going to take any prisoners, you know, time wasting, all that sort of antics.
Yeah.
Just that, I think I will nibble on that just based on this referee and based on, you know, a South American opponent. Over 4.5 match cards is minus 114. But historically, teams from Asia tend to play it quite, don't want to use the word nice, but they tend to play by the rules, don't they?
Fair.
So I'd rather get on River, really. I think they're the team that would here.
Mate, I think going forward, for those people that can get on the cards, when you've got a European referee with a South American team in it, I'd get on cards blind, really, to be fair. As you say, they're not used to the theatrics. They're not used to the aggression. The kind, it's like old school defending, as you say. It's like, well, you're not going to get past me. Or, you know, I saw it last night where there was a little bit of someone had left one on someone and he was all right. He'd logged it. Next time he had the opportunity on the halfway line where he knows he's not going to cause too many problems, smash straight through the back of him. I'll take the yellow card, put my hand up in apology and move on. But as I say, they are surrounding the referee. There's a lot of pushing and shoving. There's lots of that going on. European referees won't be able to handle it. As I say, it's hot conditions as well, and I think that does have an impact. Getting, say, the phrase "hot under the collar." I think when you're a bit flustered and it's hot there, the pressure's on. Big stage tournament as well, and I think the cards are the ones to go for the European referees. But I was just going to quickly go back to DM Punk, who made that point about Urawa. They won the 2022 AFC Champions League. They've lost. I've only won 2 of the last 7. So they've won 2 of the last 7 in the league this season. They have been really poor. And I did look back, and I think I'm right in saying they've only won their league once. So they're not a side that are used to performing well in these kind of tournaments or even the local tournaments. So I think, that reminded me that I did have that in the locker and I'd forgotten about it. But he's right there picking that out. That I just think that they're a side that not used to this kind of stage. And I think they will. I won't say they'll get blown away tonight, but I think they'll. I don't think they'll cause us a problem, he says.
Urawa Reds are 4th in the J League right now. Kyoto Sanga in 3rd. Kashiwa Raysol in 2nd. And Kashima Antlers are top of that league. I wouldn't want to lock horns with them. But Dan Roebuck, he's your man for J League. Dan's going to be on the show on Thursday. He actually does some commentary in J League. So any questions about the Urawa Red Diamonds, ask him, because I'm sure he's seen more of them than I have, that's for sure. Brian Ems took South American winning continent 8-1 pre-tournament. Wow. Thinking it might get hot and humid. So I mean, I think the Boca performance last night has started as the first time I've seen some talk about, hold on a minute, maybe we've got to take these South American teams a little bit more. What's the word?
Well, they're going to have to support, serious. Aren't they? I think like when Nigel talks about it a lot, doesn't he? When he goes to cup finals, and I know it didn't quite pan out in the Champions League final, but it certainly did in the FA Cup final. And there was another one, the Newcastle one against Liverpool, where they kind of turn those games into home games to a certain extent, or certainly give you a bit more of an advantage. So I think, generally speaking, these South American sides that are going there are going to have that extra advantage with having the crowd behind them. We saw it last night. That end was absolutely ram-packed, wasn't it? It was incredible. Great to see.
Yeah, I mean, crowds don't win matches, but for me, I agree. I always think it's a factor to consider. That's for sure. Juniper, good to see you. Both to score in the Dortmund game. I think yes. I think both teams.
I'd say yeah.
In that one. And where is Dan now? Text him in. I was speaking with Dan earlier, actually. I know what he is going to be big on is Benfica handicap against Auckland City. I think he really is liking that one, considering that both teams now need to batter them, really, for the sake of goal difference. So I do.
We're going to see that. Do you know that group was plus money to be the top scoring group which I had a little bit of pre-tournament. And
Wow.
basically for that reason, you think, well, I wasn't quite expecting 10, I must admit, but I was expecting 6 and probably a couple of 4s in there. And then when Benfica and Munich play, I think that there's goals in that. But yeah, so that was a good starting point, especially when there's been a couple of 0-0s in the other groups as well already.
Are you seeing minimum double-digit win for Benfica?
No, I wouldn't go that far, but I wouldn't be surprised to see 6 or 7. Yeah, like Pavlidis, you talked about a flat track bully. I think he'll. Well, mad to think that Kane didn't score when Munich got 10, but Pavlidis, I think, will be licking his lips ready to get involved in that one. Hat trick, 4 goals or something like that for me. So it's going to make the top goal scorer markets interesting. We talked about that, but those guys now are going to be setting their sights on racking up a few goals against Auckland.
Yeah, more on that later in the week. The third game of the day. What a tasty game this is. Ulsan Hyundai against Mamelodi Sundowns. Korean side here against South African opponents. And the Asian side are the dog, plus 300 with Bet Rivers. The Sundowns are the favourites. I think they're actually minus money now. No, they've actually drifted to plus 105.
Yeah.
They were minus money about an hour and a half ago. So... that's where perhaps there was some money earlier. I mean, we talked about the Sundowns on the preview show on Friday. Lewis Jones researched them in detail. He thinks they could be a pleasant surprise in this tournament. And we all kind of agreed that the Korean side, Ulsan Hyundai, I mean, they're not even that great in their own domestic league right now. It could be a struggle for them here. The match takes place in Orlando and it's going to be really hot. We're in the 90s here, 35 degrees Celsius as well. So this is going to be a bruisingly hot encounter. This is a tough game, Jack. I do actually have another card play here myself.
Good.
But in terms of the match, this is a game that you don't actually have a bet on, right?
No. Do you know what? I was good to hear that with Lewis. I had the same opinion. I thought they were... I had a little bit on them to qualify. They were the dog, weren't they? And I couldn't work out why Hyundai, whatever, how you pronounce it these days, because they changed how you pronounce it in the last couple of years, haven't they? But I was surprised that they weren't. I couldn't quite work it out. So I think they were about plus 500 at the time to get to qualify from the section. The one thing that put me off is I'd read that, and again, unfortunately, I haven't got that knowledge, hence why I'm not putting anything forward here, is that 12 of the Sundown players were left at home or they stayed in South Africa. I don't know which 12 they are, and I don't know how prominent they are within the squad setup. And I kind of, although I had a little nibble on Sundowns to get qualified out of the group, I kind of want to see how they perform today before I'd go anything on a match-to-match basis. But I probably would have backed them earlier in the week. They were decent plus money, and then, as you say, I looked prior to getting the prices up and for the show, and they were minus money, as you say. They have drifted a bit now.
There's been a gamble on them, haven't they, all week?
Yeah,
really. I've seen quite a few suggest that they could be, a proper dark horse in the tournament. And, 84% of the money is on the Sundowns here on that money line. This could look a massive price come the end of the game. Because, like I said before, with the Urawa Red Diamonds match, if Ulsan Hyundai were pretty damn bad, would we be that shocked? We probably wouldn't be that shocked. No. We know the general level of African soccer. We've seen actually decent enough performances from all the teams at this tournament. Al Ahly, I thought, gave a very good account of themselves. Esperance de Tunis weren't terrible in their particular game. And we know the South African League is one of the strongest in Africa. So I think we can gauge pretty much where the level is going to be. This could be a slow tempo match if it's that hot, Jack. So I was thinking, this didn't work yesterday. I went under goals in the Hard Rock Stadium and that didn't turn out well. And under 2.5 goals is minus 143 here with Bet Rivers. So that would just be a very small lead just based on conditions. Probably have to go under 2.25 on the Asian line, really. But I don't know enough about the two teams, especially Ulsan Hyundai.
Yeah, I did something on this group earlier last week, and I knew there was some bad stats on Ulsan, and it was basically that they've been eliminated from the Champions League after losing 6 of their 7 fixtures, and they've played 4 times in this tournament, and they're yet to pick up a point. So they've not got that good record. As you say, I don't understand why they're not the outsiders of the pack. I assume they are now because there's been a bit of noise around the Sundowns, but someone's pointed out in the chat there that they some goal difference in the South African League's 52 goals, 2.3 goals per game. They've won the title. I think it's for the eight successive seasons. They used to winning. They were beaten in the final of their Champions League. So I think you say they've performed well over the course of the season. They used to win, and I think they'll come with confidence. And if they were playing against say a Dortmund in this group, then I think possibly that could dent them. But I think this is the one that they'll go into and they'll win it. And that will then say they'll take the confidence. They've got no reason to fear who they're playing here. And I think they'll go in it and win it. Again, I wouldn't be surprised for this to be an under. But as I say, without us kind of seeing how bad Ulsan are, it's tricky to play those kind of things because it could run away early doors, couldn't it? So I'd steer clear of those in those games where you're not quite certain on how bad the opponent's going to be.
Umbrello Charles is in the chat, and he is all the way from South Africa, and he's saying get the ladder out for corners.
I love that.
That's a bit of inside knowledge, which I'm not sure I'll be able to resist that one, Jack. I didn't like ladder options.
Yeah. Ladders galore today.
But I tell you what, I am interested in, and one thing this is crazy that I know more about the referee in this match than anything else. Clement Turpin is in the middle.
Here he is.
Our favourite, Dick Turpin, is in charge. A referee very much known for not issuing many cards in general. Just average 1.57 cards per game in the Champions League last season. No red cards issued. And this is a referee who has sometimes given no cards in high-profile games. Even the Madrid derby, which he did, he gave 1 card, and that was for a celebration. So immediately, I'm thinking if it was a slower paced game with the heat, we might. Immediately, I'm thinking undercards with Turpin whenever he's involved. So how about this for a little bit of Pizza Monday? Under 3.5 cards is plus money at plus 112. Under 2.5 cards is plus 240, and you can actually back no card. You've got to do a same game parlay for both teams under 0.5 cards. Mm-hmm. It's 24-1, and I can't help myself with Turpin. I think the first match at the World Cup last year or 2 years ago in Qatar, he did a Japanese game, and I think he only gave 1 or 2 cards, and he was very lenient on the world stage. And I think he'll want to he's the one European referee who will let stuff go if he can.
Yeah.
So
that line seems like highway robbery, mate.
Yeah, very good, very good. But I don't know enough about the teams. Really, I don't know if one of these sides just is a bruising team and gets stuck in all the time. Then I'm in trouble. Yeah. But with Turpin in the middle, I've got to be looking under for cards for those who can back them.
Mr. Charles, can you come back to us and let us know what kind of style? Obviously, if they're used to winning week in, week out, then I suppose the Sundowns are just one of those sides that don't maybe pick up many. But do teams try and kick them off the park? But I just then quickly looked because I was obviously my ears pricked up and my eyes lit up at the fact that we could have a corner ladder here. Just had a quick look, and assuming we're only playing the Sundowns corners, over 4.5 seems a low line. If we're getting a read on this from our now new South African expert, 4.5 corners is quite a low line. Normally, if you're looking at a side with good corner records, you're looking at 6, minimum 7 normally. So start at 4.5 at plus 117, and you can go all the way up to over 7.5 at plus 525.
Wow! I mean, the other thing is
Sundowns. It
wouldn't be a surprise if these two teams kind of fancy beating each other, and in which case you might get, for want of a better word, some more basic tactics where you're saying cross the ball, get the ball in, rather than trying to be too fancy and flicky and come inside and do all these sort of things. Get the ball in, win some set pieces, win some corners. We're suddenly liking these corners, aren't we?
We are. Mate, you couldn't have sounded more leads there if you tried. Oh, he's come inside and he's been too fancy and too flicky. Too flicky. That's a proper Yorkshire term.
That wasn't the worst Yorkshire accent either, by the way.
Not so bad.
Very good indeed.
I was looking as well. I'm obsessed now with the corner market. That's how easily I'm swayed into these sort of things. I'll have to dig into something like this, and we can see that most corners they're actually plus money. Sundowns are plus 108 for most corners. Is that a play? I assume
we need to know if this is just for the Sundowns or do they concede corners? Maybe Ulsan are going to get involved here.
Assuming that domination of the league, which has been pretty strong, is what they would normally just rack them up, wouldn't they? But yeah, let us know if you're still here.
Okay, the big game of the day, really. Then Monterrey, Mexican side against Inter Milan. Inter Milan minus 182 favourites to win this game. It comes on the West Coast from the Rose Bowl. This is going to be a 6 p.m. local time out there. And this is actually my newsletter pick from Monday, which was in your inbox. I have gone with under 2.75 goals, based purely, well, not purely, but one of the main reasons is the change of manager at Inter, who now have Christian Kivu, and I've made I generally made good money back in the unders when he was at Parma. He is a Mourinho disciple. It's amazing, actually, how many teams have changed manager heading into this tournament directly. There's loads, isn't there? And Kivu is one of the examples. I just believe the first thing he'll do is sort the defence out. Not that it needed sorting out, which is even better news, really. I think this could be quite a tight game from what I read of Monterrey. I've seen a little bit of their footage. They can be quite pragmatic. They can be quite defensive. I think we're in for quite a cagey contest potentially here in the Rose Bowl, Jack.
Yeah, I agree. I was drawn a little bit towards the +1. This is a very interesting one for me because I want to know how Inter Milan are going to cope with this, and it's also interesting for me because the runners-up in this group play Dortmund in the next round. So it's like I want to see if Dortmund win their group, of course. So I feel Inter Milan either top this group or they don't qualify, and that's purely based on the fact of they had what a season. It's like a bizarre season, hasn't it? They lost the Serie A by a point. They lost both domestic cup finals to their city rivals AC, and then they obviously got humiliated in the Champions League final. How do they react to that? And I said maybe that change of manager will get a little bit of focus on them. You're right, and I'm the same. I saw him going in there thinking, all right, here goes the unders. Can we play it? And we can play it straight away. So totally with you. Totally agree. Under 2.75 is now minus 107.
Yeah, I like that goal line under. It's one of my favourite unders goal lines because if you do get the 3 goals, you're only losing half your stake.
Yeah.
I don't really see this being that open based on, what I've seen of Kivu. And I also think that Inter are a genuine fade in the tournament because of the season they've had. They've had a lot of minutes in the legs.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me if the word tired is used to describe them at this tournament at various points. I'm not sure what's in the tank, and I can see why the +1 on Monterrey kind of caught your eye a bit as well.
Yeah.
And
I think, like I said, we're on the same page by the sounds of it. Lacking goals because of Kivu, and also the Inter Milan mentality and fatigue levels. If he wasn't the manager, I think if it was still just a rollover from without any change, then I'd be definitely fading them. I think that's the only thing. Again, that's the only doubt that I've got. So I've got a kind of idea what I think I'm going to see from Inter Milan, but because of that change of manager, that's just given me a little bit of doubt as to it. But I do like, on the same basis as well, kind of bringing it closer, zooming in, under 1 Asian total first half is +130. I think that's a really, really good price because obviously if there is 1 goal, you get a refund on it, 2 or more to lose. And we don't think there's going to be really chances of over 2 goals or 2 or more goals in the whole game. So first half, say feeling each other out, getting used to the situation, and a slow burner. So yeah, under 1 at +130, I think is a nice price. And whether he plays or not, I'm not sure. But and again, not everyone can do this. It doesn't need any introduction. You probably guess where I'm going with this. The player card market, you've got to be looking at Sergio Ramos, and he's +200. And I'm like, well, that shouldn't happen ever, should it?
Well,
+235.
Do you know what? Sergio Ramos is actually. Glad you reminded me here. He could be worth looking at to score any time in this tournament in general. He's +750 here. Apparently, his contract has unbelievable bonuses in it for scoring goals, giving assists, winning tournaments, winning matches. like ridiculous levels. So he also the shot market, by the way, shots on target.
Yeah,
just
I'm straight there now.
He definitely is in his interest to try and hit the back of the net.
Will he be on free kicks as well? Like those
sure
long range free kicks that he used to take?
Yeah, he has complete say, by the way, when he plays and when he doesn't play in his contract. So if he don't fancy playing a game, he don't play. They gave him
like you on the live show, Steve. This is incredible.
They've given him everything. So that does remind me that Sergio Ramos is worth looking at in different markets. And what is he? Plus 200 to be carded as well.
Plus 230 to be carded. And he's plus 185 for a shot on target.
Yeah,
which is always good. Like I loved him, but I remember back in the day, we had a little go on him, shots on target outside the box, because he was on those long range free kicks, and it was a ridiculous price. And to score from outside the box, it was something like 500 to 1 in one tournament, and he was like we'd seen it in like the warm up games. He was on the long range free kicks, so it was quite incredible stuff. But there we go. But we love a bit of Sergio Ramos. He's one of those ones that bettors love, and he's getting a card, he's getting sent off, he's getting a goal, same game parlay to score and get carded. Get involved.
Effie, this is where one of the times I do agree with Effie, actually, who he likes the idea of fading a lot of the European teams in this tournament. And I don't know if Inter are going to be up for it here. They've had a long season. This is one of the teams I just don't think they're that bothered. It's really now about the new manager getting back on track next season. I think it wouldn't shock me if they didn't qualify from the group either. DM Punk, if referees had merch, we'd have to pitch and get me a Clement Turgeon. Get me a Clement Turgeon jersey.
Who is your favourite ref, Steve? Who's your favourite ref?
My favourite ref is, I tell you, I'm quite a big fan of Jeremy Pignard in France. He's done me really well with cards over the years. Turpin has done me well on undercards and sometimes red cards in the past. Favourite ref? That's a great question, isn't it? Who's your favourite ref, Jack, in England?
It does change, doesn't it? It changes. Like it used to be Paul Tierney. Tierney was incredible. Like a couple of seasons ago, he was the guy. He was the man to get involved in. Rob Jones is quite high up on the list at this moment in time. I don't tend to get Anthony Taylor's a nightmare. I tend to swerve him, so I've got ones I really avoid. But the lower league referees are the ones that I really like. And again, there's a few from a couple of years ago that were absolute head cases. Alan Young was one that really still sticks in my mind. That was just dishing out 7-8 cards a game without any hesitation. Normally before they'd even kicked off, he was that bad. But remember the referee in the lower leagues that headbutted the player that time?
No, I don't remember that.
That was only a couple of years ago.
I remember a referee in the Dutch league who celebrated after someone scored a goal because he played advantage on.
Yeah.
And do you remember that? And he said after the game the reason he celebrated is because he gave the advantage. But there was all sorts of suspicions.
Yeah.
He was cheering them on. And it went out.
Mike Dean done that. Obviously, the legend of English referees, Mike Dean, he did that, didn't he? He did it was all about all about Mike, wasn't it? And he did a celebration when he did advantage as well. Who was the French referee a couple of years ago that got tripped as he was running back, and he had a go.
Yes, that was. Oh gosh, that was in the Nantes game, wasn't it? Yes. Yeah. Oh my god.
Did he send him off?
Yeah, this is crazy. He got done. Oh my god, bald head ref, wasn't it? And the name's on the tip of my tongue. I'm hoping to get it before the end of the show because we've still got Gold Cup to talk about. I am out of this now after that Guadeloupe nightmare yesterday. I spent hours, mate. I spent more time researching that Guadeloupe game yesterday than any other. Right, and I was shocked by what I saw. But anyway, Curacao against El Salvador and Canada against Honduras. I have heard some people say Canada outright on the futures to win this tournament might not be the worst bet. But your match that you're interested in here is Curacao against El Salvador. Take it away.
Yeah, Matt, I'm not going to go into super depth. People will be delighted to hear on this one. It's not my speciality area. You know who's in charge of Curacao?
I don't know who's in charge.
Dick Advocat.
What?
Dick Advocat.
Well, that's not the biggest surprise because they are a Dutch colony.
Yeah. So there you go. But,
Dick Advocat is that's obviously a big name.
Yeah. So, mate, I fancy goals in it. I couldn't split both teams to score an over 2.5 goals. And if I do get that scenario where I normally have a strong play one way or the other, and obviously I'll go with it, where I can't make my mind up, rather than betting both of them and potentially losing both of them, obviously, or winning both of them, there is that chance that you might win one, lose one. So I actually just put all my eggs in one basket and play both. So on this one, I do fancy goals. I fancy goals at both ends. So if the both teams to score lands, then we're only looking for one other goal to cash. Both of these sides have got really high statistics as far as both teams to score is concerned in their recent games as well. So for me, it's putting the two together. And I just realised I haven't got the price on that one. So if you can help me out on that one, or if you want to feel free,
I will find it for you with the Curacao game. So over 2.5 goals is at plus 118, and both teams to score is at minus 115 for the game. I mean, it's interesting. I had no idea that Dig Abacate was there. He is an absolute legend, isn't he? Absolute legend.
Do you know what? It makes a real change for me to be able to tell you something about world soccer that you don't know. So I'm going to take that as my biggest win of the day, regardless of what happens for the rest of the night. Over 2.5 goals, and both teams to score was plus 135. So that's changed a bit since when I looked at it. Do you know what? On that basis, I've changed my mind, and I'm just going to go over 2.5 goals at plus 118. There's not enough difference in it for me to
you might as well
do both. So over 2.5 goals plus 118 is now my pick on that particular game.
Tony Chaperon, that was the referee, bald head ref. It wasn't Marciniak. He's the Polish ref. Tony Chaperon. Yeah, he wouldn't mess with him, I tell you.
No, I remember watching it, and he proper flared up. He didn't like that at all, did he?
Anyway, what a great show. What a great show. Nearly an hour in there. We did talk about the Dortmund game later. Kicks off in 3 minutes. We're hoping for some goals. And thank you very much, Jack. Really enjoyed that one. We got talking about so many different things. Great chatting here today as well. Thank you everyone who joined live or on demand. I'll see you tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live. Rory Barlow is going to be joining me. So
another man in good form.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Finding form at the right time. And let's hope we can cash some winners
That's
today.
the 1-2 in the Insider newsletter in the Handicappers League table you've had on in 2 days. I'm not going to say which order it is. Modesty prevents me from doing so.
And this is why you should subscribe to the Insider.
Oh, it is.
Not even subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, does it? You just have to.
I always feel when we say subscribe, it does sound like you have to pay once you get to that point, but it's not. It's completely free of charge, isn't it? So register for it, I would say, is a better way of putting
register for.
You don't even
sign up now,
spam me,
as it says.
So roll up.
Yeah, the Insider. I tell you what, it's really there's been some great content on that Insider since it started. Not just the weekly picks, but the insights into the events, like the US Open special on the golf was really good there as well. But anyway, yes, best of luck what everyone is taking today. What is the best bet for you today, Jack?
It's River Plate -1 Asian handicap.
Of course it is. It's River Plate -1. I'm not sure what my best bet is, but I think it would have to be on. I'm going to have to go with the newsletter pick, aren't I? Under 2.75 goals, Monterrey, Inter Milan. I wanted to be different there, but stick with
I'll make you right. Have you got the link for the newsletter? Dave Clark's asking for it.
It's there.
Oh, it's there. It's just above you, Dave. Look up.
The Insider comes out usually Friday, and then there's also Monday's newsletter as well. And the good thing about the Monday's newsletter is that the handicappers sometimes can put on bets, a few days in advance, so you can get on the best prices, things like that. So anyway,
that's
brilliant
stuff,
about it. I'll see you next time whenever you're on. I'm sure you'll be on before the end of the tournament at least.
Do you know what? I'm on the last day of the month. I'm on with Mr. Dan Roebuck. We'll be talking about J League, and I'll be sitting back and listening to him. And roll up.
Will there be any teams left from Asia? When you're back on the show, that's the good point as well. But okay, well, enjoyed that one. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time on Betting Weekly Live.